Great. Thank you, Frederick and Mariam. Um, so I'm just going to very quickly go through some of the work that the task forces have been doing. And essentially, it was recognized that although NBS are explicitly mentioned in a number of high-level policy instruments, the incorporation within, say, local, national, regional level policy instruments is hindered by fragmented and discipline-specific knowledge or evidence of their performance and impact. And so effectively what we need is a complete evidence base on NBS multifunctionality and the multiple benefits across all these key societal challenge areas that we know NBS can contribute to. Um, there are currently 5 European task forces on nature-based solutions, and I'm only going to very briefly introduce the work of the first 3. So the first task force 1 is about data and knowledge sharing, and this really is meant to address knowledge and data gaps. So the intent is to establish an online searchable European evidence base on NBS. And what we need in order to do that is a consistent monitoring and evaluation framework, including indicators and methods using standardized procedures and units of measure, so that we can then have comparable information about different types of NBS at different scales, implemented in different environments. So task forces 1 and 2 have worked fairly closely together, and we're also integrating knowledge from task force 3. To date, this task force 3 has developed a procurement guide for NBS, and they're working on the valuation of NBS benefits. And we're also complemented by task force 4, looking at co-creation and governance. They're developing a co-creation tool, including support to monitor and evaluate co-creation processes. And the NBS Communicators Task Force 6, of course, which is synergizing communication and dissemination efforts to maximize our visibility and reach. So I'm sure you're all really interested in the data management and European NBS knowledge repository. So the idea was that we wanted to create a knowledge repository that allowed end users and third-party applications to search and retrieve case studies independently from the projects where they're implemented or monitored, and then the repository where the data are stored. OPLA has adopted the requirements defined by Task Force 1 and started to implement the reference NBS metadata catalog. This was very challenging because a lot of different projects had already implemented case studies and stored descriptions and observations in lots of different formats. But so far, a common template has been defined, a standard API to search NBS case studies interoperably has been defined, and that API has been, I guess, implemented and tested. So they're working on refining APIs and defining a common data management plan at present. But the whole overall idea is that we will have a European evidence base on NBS performance and impact. And this evidence base is actually using the methods defined in this Task Force 2 integrated NBS assessment framework and methodologies. So this is actually a series of 3 publications. The main publication is the handbook, which is a guide to developing and implementing scientifically valid monitoring and evaluation plans. It includes descriptions of different key indicators that you can choose kind of in a buffet style across 12 different challenge areas. And then the appendix of methods provides quite a brief description of each method, along with guidance about whether it's appropriate, what are the advantages and disadvantages to each in different contexts. And then all of this is summarized extremely briefly in the summary for policymakers. And as I said previously, this Task Force 3 work on NBS valuation and public procurement complements these, the work of Task Forces 1 and 2. So a lot of the public authorities that were surveyed early on, I think around 2018, reported difficulties in using public procurement to implement NBS projects. And so Task Force 3 developed a handbook. It's based on a series of, I think, 9 different case studies, and it has undertaken a barrier and opportunity analysis for procurement and provides some broad recommendations applicable at different scales. The ongoing work of this task force is looking at specific methods to assign value to NBS benefits. This is an area that has garnered a lot of attention. So they're looking at the monetary and non-monetary methods evaluation, comparisons between NBS and gray infrastructure, using a range of different cost methods. So say market price, opportunity cost, relocation, replacement, dose response, so on and so forth. And then trying to align these different valuation techniques with different ecosystem services delivered. The target here is an evidence base from EU NBS projects regarding the valuation of benefits and trade-offs. And I think this is going to be presented in a handbook and potentially also a series of journal articles. But that's all I really wanted to share with you, just let you know kind of what the ongoing status is in the task forces. And this work is continuing and will continue for a while.
Thank you very much, Laura. Excellent overview of the key achievements of these task forces, and I think it's also nice to see these are really aligned with some of the key challenges coming out. So I think it's nice to see. So we will now go to more our section on question and feedbacks on this part. So the idea here is for you to have a look at having had a first glance at the key elements coming out there. From the desk study and survey around knowledge gaps and elements from the mapping maybe as well. We would like to ask you, to what extent do you think these main elements cover key challenges related to research and innovation for the deployment of effective NBS? We will do this through the Zoom polling service. You will have a window opening, and the idea is that you can just submit from 0 to 5. So 5 being it looks very complete, I would not have anything to add. 4, it looks overall complete. 1 or 2 points could be improved, but I can live with it. 3 is really I don't have a strong opinion. And 2, I see a major gap that is not addressed. 1, I see several major gaps that are not addressed, and 0, it looks very incomplete, and would like to then hear a bit about your views as well, more qualitatively. But we can start with this polling, little polling exercise, and to see a bit how you appreciate. So Mariam, I think you can launch, right? Is it on?
Yeah, sorry, I think you have to launch it, Frédéric.
Okay. Right after. No, it's not.
I think Elisa, can you try to
sorry about it. Of course, like we had a full a full training to session to do this, and when we arrived there, something didn't go as initially planned. No. Okay, maybe to do this a bit more manually, 1.0. So maybe the opportunity first I can use is to ask you in the chat or by raising hands if you have questions in relation to what we've presented, remarks, etc. And especially, of course, if you feel there are strong points which are missing, we're more than interested to hear about it. And I would also kindly invite you to keep short interventions. So, okay, I see we have raised hand. So Roberto Rinaldi, please go ahead.
Merci. I hope you can hear me. I'll quickly introduce myself. So my name is Roberto Rinaldi, and I work at the European Committee of the Regions as a policy officer. And the Committee of the Regions is the official EU institution representing cities and regions in the EU policymaking process. My question, first of all, I wanted to thank you for the great work that you've been doing, because this is exactly what our politicians tell us, that they're kind of lost, even when there is political willingness, they're kind of lost in in the ocean of nature-based solutions, how to transform them into practical terms. My question for you is, all the material presented is only available in English, or it is foreseen to have it in other EU languages? Thank you.
Thank you. For now, we're seeking to publish in English, and we can assess, as you know, NetworkNature is setting up also national hubs, and this may be one way to get some of the key products of the platform also translated. It's a good point. Thank you.
To add to that, all the mapping we did was using English title and English abstract, since we had to use the same keyword with the same meaning, and because we don't speak every European language, we had to just follow one aspect.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've put back up the slide as well to and I'm told the poll is working in the chat, so okay, and we don't see, so we'll have to find how we can get the results live. But anyway, so I see another hand raised. I'm sorry, your name is not coming up. Here we go.
Hi, this is Robert McDonald. Yeah, thank you for this overview. This was great. I had a couple comments just to build on it. One of them relates to this issue of geographical coverage. It sounds like the focus was really on European projects or European reports, and which is appropriate, but you may want to think about a search of the published literature, so you're getting research studies or reports from other parts of the world. And I guess going along with that, from what I understood of the search methodology, you were fairly strictly looking for words around biodiversity and then words around nature-based solutions. And I just wanted to flag that a lot of the literature around nature-based solutions doesn't even use that term, right? So you'll have projects around wetlands and flood risk reduction, for instance, that won't talk about biodiversity or nature-based solutions, but certainly are sort of relevant. So I think that's one thing to think about. And I guess my last comment relative to the task forces, it was great to see what all the task forces are doing. Maybe one gap that I see in my own work is not, certainly there's gaps with the private sector around financing mechanisms for nature-based solutions, but there's also some very big barriers in the public sector around different levels of governance not coordinating, around different government agencies with different mandates not coordinating. So just wanted to flag that as potentially a gap that could be important. And it shows up in some of your lists of gaps, but just from my perspective, it's one of the important ones to think about if we're going to scale up NBS. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much. That's excellent points. You're right, as the geographical scale, we did focus on, you've seen on EU programs, projects from EU programs, so there's this bias. It would be indeed interesting in turn to see what it looks like in other regions. We do have a few elements on EU cooperation with other regions, but okay. And okay, I see, and points taken also for the dimensions around coordination across policies. I see another hand raised from Georgios Somarakis. Please go ahead.
Hi, Frederick. Hi, everyone. Thank you for organizing this interesting event and sharing these research gaps. I would like to highlight the importance of Endbased monitoring and evaluation, which is really crucial towards improving NBS performance, which is key for the wide dissemination and implementation of NBS as common practices. And in this context, Earth observation provides a range of data sources, methods, and information such as Copernicus Sentinels and Copernicus core services that exploit satellite in situ and other measurements, as they are also described in the evaluating the impact of NBS handbook. However, there are several steps towards the operational implementation of a robust Earth observation-based approach for NBS monitoring and implementation in urban areas, as they have been outlined in our paper recently published in Remote Sensing Journal. Of course, I can share more aspects of these steps if you wish. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you very much, Georgios. Good points as well, and we're happy for you to share with us also any supporting references. It's most welcome. I see Tom Wild has a hand raised. Please go ahead, Tom.
Hi, thanks. It was just a quick point. If we could possibly look back at Laura's final slide with the kind of wiring diagram. I don't know how else to explain it. It had like the relationships between the kind of evidence on benefits and how that relates to the kind of next steps. I think it was the final slide or the one just before. I had a question around how the exist. No, it wasn't this one. Sorry. It was a question around how the current call on cost benefit analysis and economic evaluation will maybe address this kind of high ranking topic that's shown at the very top, and also picking up on what Laura described in terms of turning the reference framework into or using it in a cost benefit analysis. The only other thing I would say is it would be nice to see something around education in here, but yeah. My main point was around this existing programs, the future calls, if you know what I mean.
Indeed, thank you. Okay, and point taken also on education aspects, which relates to some of the discussion this morning. Thank you very much. Okay, so I don't think we've had any other direct comments in the chat, and I don't see any other hands raised. Am I right in assuming, based on initial presentation, that no one at least thinks we're completely missing the picture? And I don't know, Mariam, if we have poll results available.
Yes, perhaps Elisa, can you close the, if everyone if it hadn't voted yet, can they vote, and then we can close the polls and share the results with all of you?
Yeah, I think for now we have only 15 responses.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Will we get, this poll or not? Suspense is full. Okay. It should come up on the screen right away, right? On its own, no?
Yeah, can you see the results?
Not for me. I don't know if in the participants you see, because you seem to see more than we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can anybody tell us what it looks like? This would never happen in real life, God. Okay, the 4 is the win. The 4 is the win. Okay, and all right, that's good to know. We'll have to have, if someone can take a screenshot and send it over to us, that'd be super helpful. Thanks. Okay, I'm glad to see. Thank you very much, Robert, for debriefing us in these difficult times as a facilitator. Okay, so time to move on and hear more about, start more to hear directly and more qualitatively about your inputs. So we have planned an interactive session in breakout groups in turn. The idea is so to solicit you in co-creating the EU NBS Research and Innovation Roadmap And we are specifically asking you to identify the main levers and brakes in your views for research and innovation to support, accelerate, facilitate the deployment of effective nature-based solutions. So, of course, as I mentioned before, it's EU roadmap, so you have to think big also in terms of challenges, and you can of course highlight barriers or lever linked to knowledge around and data around the topical areas or other aspects linked to knowledge implementation, capacity building, or even awareness and linked to NBS knowledge. And what we would like to do with you is to have really this reflection around levers and breaks and discuss this a bit more qualitatively with you, so that we can use the outcomes of this session to help shape the first draft of the research and innovation roadmap we are working on. And I will hand over to Mariam to guide you a bit more specifically in the exercise.
Thank you, Frédéric. So I don't know if you kind of know this kind of exercise. It's called a speedboat or sailboat. And it's a way to kind of put a picture or to work on identifying levers and barriers to an objective. So it can be used for many, many purposes. So you can imagine that the boat is us, is the NBS community, and we are all going forward to the research and innovation for the deployment, of effective NBS. Can you go back, Frédéric, please? Thank you. And and you can imagine that the winds is what contributes as of now to us going on forward, and that we have anchors that are kind of hindering and are barriers and obstacles to arrive to this lighthouse. And the exercise that we're going to ask of you is kind of to think about what are the winds and what are the anchors that are facilitating or hindering the good deployment of effective NBS. And it's as of now, so it's kind of to gain good pictures on the obstacles we have now, and not more on working on pathways. Can you put on the next slide, please, Frédéric? So we're going to ask of you to work first individually on those winds and anchors. And before we begin the session, does anyone have clarifying questions or need more guidelines on what we what is the objective of the session, or if it's clear?
Seems
okay.
Seems clear a priori. We will see also in the groups. Yeah, so it's really think about identifying winds, anchors in relation to research and innovation for the deployment of NBS.
So now it's kind of a easy step, since we're just going to ask you in 5 minutes to think about the different winds and anchors that you can think about the good deployment of NBS. Perhaps we can put on back the full image, Frédéric, so people have it in their mind. And we're going to just let you 5 minutes to write down the different ID. Since you're going to discuss them in groups after, it'd be great if you could write them down so that you don't forget them after. And I'm just going to put on a timer, and we're just going to call you back when the timer stops, and give you the next guideline for the next steps of the session. So time to think.
Excuse me, are we about to write these ideas in the chat?
No, it's just individually to kind
okay.
of think about, and just write them down on the paper on your computer, but you don't need to share them as of now.
You will be asked to write them down then in groups in a shared document.
Thank you.
I wonder, Mariam, if we can invite people to also raise hands when they are finished, not to wait the full 5 minutes if it's not needed.
Okay, so the 5 minutes are coming up to an end. So I'm gonna ask all of you to finish what you're writing and we can start the next steps of the session. If can everyone put a thumbs up to kind of say to us that they finished and are okay to start the next step? Okay. So for the next step, Frédéric, if you can put on the next slide. So you have now worked individually on winds and anchors, and we're going to ask you to work in groups to kind of collaborate together and pull the different factors and hinders that you identified. Can you put on the next slide? So kind of a guideline. So we're going to ask each group to choose a reporter for so who'd be in charge to restitute the finding of each groups. You're all going to work on a Google Sheet that we're going to provide to you. The link to the Google Sheet is present in the Google Doc, which I have put the link in the chat. And we're all going to ask you to identify the maximum of 3 obstacles and 3 facilitating factors, the most important in your regards. If you can put on the next slide, Frédéric, so I can go into more details. So you're going to be able to find the Google Docs, so the links to the Google Sheets. You have here on the slides the screenshots of what the Google Sheets you're going to all work together on going to look like. So we ask of you to first share together the different aspects that you identified and then work collectively to pull them together to identify new new facilitating factors or new obstacle, and then to prioritize 3 of each categories to put in the more darker area so that we can then identify them better and for you to present them in plenary session. Is the guideline clear for everyone, or is there a need for a question to clarify? You can raise your hand.
So you need to, to summarize in groups, you can share first your individual ideas in the bottom part, and then you will have to agree, discuss and agree on 3 main ideas you would like to put forward as a group for each side, okay?
And if you can put the next slide, Frédéric. And so to work collectively, you're all going to be dispatched in Zoom breakout room. One aspect that is really important is that you all need to be really concentrated right now, because as if you don't click on the join button, you're all going to stay in plenary and not going to be put in the breakout rooms. I'm going to have to start all over again and lose kind of a lot of time. And when you are in the breakout rooms, you can ask for help using the ask for help button, and we're going to be able to go into each breakout room to kind of help you if you have any questions. At the beginning of this session, which will be 25-20 minutes, me, Frédéric, and Elisa will come into each breakout room to ask who is the reporter, to be sure that you all have the good Google link. Google Sheets, sorry, and then we'll also be able to, for example, allow the rapporteur to share his screen so that you all can work better on the Google Sheets. Is that clear for everyone? Okay, looks like it. So everyone will be concentrated, since I'm gonna divide everyone in groups, and you have to click on the join button quite quickly. Okay, I'm just gonna...
because if you don't, we have to call everybody back in plenary to send you back in groups. So please do click the button.
Okay, I'm just gonna have, because people left, so I'm just gonna need to kind of put back people. Sorry, just 2 seconds. And okay. So normally there's 4 breakout rooms. And you're all going to be able to work together on the different things you identified. Okay, so normally you all can join your breakout rooms.
Okay, I see a few people still in the plenary. Please make sure you click the join button. Okay, I have Donna, Sarah, and Xavier still in the plenary. Do you see the button on your side?
Okay.
Okay, I think Donna and Xavier maybe won't be going into groups.
Yeah, I just want to be sure that, okay, they're not in the same breakout room, so at least.
Okay.
Okay, so
Can
I will go
put them in a waiting room? I will do this. Il y a la slide, ouais, ok.
La slide avec pour leur expliquer le bingo. Ah, bah tiens, les 24, je vais leur dire qu'ils peuvent revenir.
Vas-y. Okay, perfect. I see group 4. Okay, the others should join back automatically in a minute.
I really enjoyed the meeting. I just want to say, I'm sorry, I have to hop for another meeting in about 3 or 4 minutes, but it's been a pleasure. So
thank you.
Thank you very much. So you're not the rapporteur, right?
Thank you for your contribution, and all the results I think will be available. We will have the session recorded, so you're going to be able to see what's the main results of this session.
Yeah, and maybe a main message is that the intention here is to kickstart a co-creation and consultation process. So we're looking forward to seeing more of you around in the future or around the development of this roadmap. Thanks a lot. I believe we have people coming back.
Normally, everyone is back.
Perfect. Okay. Everybody okay? I hope it was not a traumatizing experience for anyone. Doesn't look like it, at least I see people smiling. So, okay. So the idea now that you have discussed in groups is to have a restitution session. So in each group you have been asked to nominate a rapporteur, discuss around the key individual anchors and wins you had thought of, and agree on 3 main ones to bring back to the plenary. So this is what we will be doing now. And I wanted to highlight the fact that we would like to invite you to use a sort of a bingo approach. For those who know bingo, it's a game where when you hear something that's on your grid as well, you say bingo. And so the Zoom version here is we would ask you, if you hear the person presenting share a gap which directly relates or is one of the ones you have identified and prioritized in your group as well, you can raise a hand and we will give you the floor to share as well. We will call each rapporteur to present the 3 gaps and the 3 facilitating factors and obstacles. And in parallel, we will be ourselves using the contents from your post-its to feed from your Excel, to feed a mural board as you speak. So we will be dealing with the technical end of things. Okay, just allow me to change my screen share. And so this is the one. Okay. Okay, so you can see here our boat with our anchors and wings, and I would like to start straight away by inviting group 1 to provide feedbacks on their main wins and anchors identified. I believe, so if you can take the floor,
it's Sonia normally.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
kick it off. Just trying to find the document, actually. No, managed. So very briefly, with regard to actually what have been identified as 3 key facilitators, factors that facilitate the actual transformation, is biodiversity crisis is increasingly coming up the policy agenda. So that quite is seen as something driving, let's say, certain NBS deployment as an R&I with regard to NBS. The other aspect is particularly related to the empowerment of youth, so their engagement, but in different activities, also to not just learn, but also do some hands-on activities with regard to NBS. And the other one is the increasing availability of data, so open data, when it comes to different databases, especially in relation to the monitoring and evaluation of NBS. The anchors, the 3 ones that have been identified is, one, the actual potential and increasingly misuse of the NBS term, especially in relation to aspects of greenwashing. One other anchor that has been identified is the dominance of certain narratives when it comes to the implementation, particularly also with regard to engineering narratives, not just in relation to grey infrastructure, but also in relation to green infrastructure as such. And then still missing something that has been pointed out is already, I think, with regard to the report you did, is this systemic evaluation indicator still missing. And there is a lack of recognition of the importance with regard to it, but especially also what would be really nice is to have some more open data on governance aspects. That's all from our side.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sonia. Maybe I can first invite if anybody has clarification questions as regards these different points. Don't hesitate to raise a hand, and equally, if you think one of the points raised here is directly linked to one of the ones you would like to report, don't hesitate to raise your hand. I don't think, a priori, for now at least, if I'm right, I don't see any raised hands. Okay, so maybe I can invite, thank you very much, Sonia, and I can invite group 2 to present similarly the main wins and anchors you have identified together.
Yeah, well, so I think I will be the rapporteur for the group 2. And sorry, I cannot turn on my camera. It squashes my head, you know, and shows only a half of it. So I don't know why, but I cannot really show it to you. But I can also I cannot see on the main screen the sheet that we with Marie, who is in my group, filled in. So probably I will just talk it through. Oh, here it is. Well, we focused on the main anchor that probably we identified in both our projects. That was actually the poor awareness, not only the poor awareness regarding the benefits of the nature-based solutions, but actually also the phenomenon that probably not many of us understand, that people from the urban areas not necessarily want new green areas, because for us, for the environmental engineers and for the people working in let's say in the climate area, this is pretty much obvious, but it's not that obvious if you go and ask the people what do they think about, because in many cities in Europe, people rather, you know, prefer to have a new parking lot than the new green area. And they are really the stereotypes that really makes them think that the greenery, for example, introduced on the facades of the building is something wrong, that it makes it, you know, that it makes rather the wall humid than sucks up the dew and the water from the wall. So really it's very hard to go through these bad stereotypes to educate the people, because even if you have, you know, the PhD out of it, the people sometimes don't understand, and they don't simply believe that the greenery provides the benefit rather than is a nuisance. And this is really a huge obstacle. And we both with Marie, who is in my group, we identified it, we've observed it. We're from Wrocław, Poland, and Murcia, Spain. So I don't know, maybe it is not so visible, for example, in the UK, Germany, Denmark, or other countries that really, I mean, push forward the nature-based solutions from many years, but this is something probably new for our country still. So maybe this is because of that, but still it is a huge anchor. And obviously, if we would like to switch on a wind column, then obviously the raise of the social awareness, the expansion of the social awareness, and the education would be a huge wind for this anchor to get rid of. Because also, if we have great social awareness regarding this, it influences the political agenda. That is also a very huge, let's say, actor in this situation. So the poor political agenda, meaning that they just don't want to put the new green areas because the people simply don't want it, and could be changed by the raise of social awareness. And if the people would just press and want new green areas, for example, then probably the policy instruments would appear in order to satisfy their needs. And later on, believe that these people will vote for them, just simple as that. So this is what we would like to raise, that sometimes in these less developed countries, and especially in the deprived areas, like for example, our project is putting the greenery in a very deprived district of the city, the people that live there really do not consider greenery as a nature-based solution, as a benefit, as a technical, let's say, solution, but only something like an aesthetical, for example, pleasing element, and it's not because of that we are putting there. So this is a huge obstacle that I would like to raise, and well, my partner in the group, we wanted to share it with you as a very important thing.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And would there be any questions or clarification questions or comments as regards this point, or any bingo? I'm still hoping some of you will raise a hand at some point. Okay, Cornelia, do you want to comment on some of the other aspects, or?
Well, the aspect that we raise here in the breakout room, like funding opportunities and lack of funding opportunities, are so obvious that probably each one of us really can relate, and maybe it's common for all our areas or our projects and so on. So maybe there's nothing really to comment in here that is quite obvious. We just wanted to put up this first issue because we thought that probably it's not so so easily identified in all our countries. So this is why we put it first on the list.
Okay, thank you. And for the policy aspects, I see you have a bit a dichotomy as well.
Yeah, but we connected it somehow with this social awareness problem, because because this is a very simple connection. If the people have big, let's say, awareness regarding the benefits that the nature-based solutions can provide them, they are putting a pressure on the local government, on the local policy instruments, and if they are not, then the politicians just do not really want to offer them this kind of solutions, because they would like to, pay for something else that the people demand. So
okay.
Yeah, so
okay,
the awareness is really connected with the demand on the politicians.
Excellent.
Yeah,
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your restitution. I would now invite Group 3 rapporteur to take the floor.
Can do. I was together with Amy from Norway and Sophie Sophie van der Woestijn from REA as observer. Well, there were some bit overlapping items, but the people or the flow is so fast that it's a bit difficult to do the bingo, I think. So sorry for this.
No worries.
So we also indicated 3 wind strength. The first one is the biodiversity crisis. Again, I think it's well, as you see, it's also the first wind indicated by the first group. The second one is a momentum at the policy level, which is related to from the previous group, on the one hand the EU policy, but also the social awareness. And the third point is a tendency for naturalness. We have phrased it this way because, well,
is it me or it's not working anymore?
Rick, your microphone is cut.
I think that, yeah, there was an issue.
Sorry, where did you lose me? Where did you lose me? Okay.
I think for the momentum on the policy level.
Yeah. So at the so the momentum is linked to the EU policy, but also to the social awareness. And then the third item is a tendency for naturalness. This naturalness can be linked to either biodiversity, either climate, either both. Also, especially in more urban societies, a bit a romantic view of nature being good. But we see this tendency in the populational part of the population. And then for the anchors, well, we have identified around 9, I think, but we have selected 3 as most important. The first one is a lack of space for nature-based solutions. Well, for instance, when a city or a space or a place has a problem with flooding, it's easy to build a flood. It's easy to build a dike or a dam to stop the flooding, and you know which amount of space you need for that. If you want to do it by creating a floodplain, it takes more space. Of course, we all know that it's also comes with lots of additional benefits. But if you're only looking at this flood issue, then well, solving it through nature-based solutions comes with an additional need for additional space. A second anchor is a lack of trust and confidence, and I think this is related to, yeah, on the one hand, to the dominance of the narratives from the first group. It's how to say, there is a tendency of trusting engineers who are calculating solutions, great solutions. There is more confidence, and this is a bit historic reason, because as a society we have been working against nature for decades or centuries. So now we are trying to turn that, but there's still a lot of trust and confidence needed in using nature-based solutions for people who are not really working in this field. And thirdly, we have the need or an issue when with scaling up and mainstreaming nature-based solutions. We are working in lots of the for instance, Horizon 2020 projects. We are working on pilot scale or on a local scale, or we're working on the global scale, but how to translate this into more mainstream solutions and mainstream implementations, that's still a challenge, I would say. So this is our contribution so far. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Rick. I see some potential linking also in different ideas, groups ideas here. I would like to invite group 4 now to take the floor and provide us their feedback, both on winds and anchors, please.
Yeah, hello, I'm Björn Karlsson from Norwegian Geotechnical Institute. So I was the rapporteur, as you call it, for my group. We on the table that you have, we have a lot of items coming, so you can check that afterwards. But I try to summarize the ones that we go for, the 3 ones for the winds and 3 ones for the anchors. Regarding the winds, I think they are very much linked, all the ones that we have, and I think that's caused by the awareness that we are that the whole modern world is in a critical situation. That we're both regarding the climate crisis but also the nature situation. So I think the winds that we come up with is linked to those, to that awareness. So this awareness that gives that the first one is that the momentum. That is a lot of not only policy, as others has commented, but also people among people and among also in policy and politics also. In fact, I could mention that we have a new government now this week in Norway, and in this type of document that they made for that government change, nature-based solutions is mentioned several times. In fact, in that document, which is quite illustrative, I think. The second one is that, which is quite new, perhaps, that we have known for quite a long time that we have this climate crisis, but the awareness of biodiversity loss is perhaps not that old. So it's this awareness also, I think, is a wind for making this use of the nature-based solutions. So that's the second one, and a more positive also that it's not only that we're making this implementation of it, but it's a new way of thinking among, perhaps especially among young people, that use of nature-based solutions is the right way to go for as a more like a philosophical and aspiration for the life to come. So that's create a shared vision and inspiring action, as it's told here. So those are the three things that we have for the wins. Regarding anchors, is perhaps a bit more different. It's more or less the same as you had, at least for two of them that we have already, the other groups have mentioned. And the first one is perhaps the main one, is that the lack of knowledge about the benefits of NBS. And when talking about the benefits, we also talk, we mentioned the technical, does it really function? The environmental part, the economical part, and the social part. That's for all of this, there's a lack of knowledge, at least among the users, among the and in the industry, and among let's say municipalities and the official type of funders. That's the first one, and the second one is lack of funding and funding possibilities and business policies, as has been mentioned quite a lot. But the third one is perhaps not mentioned before, I think, and that's the silo approach that we have in the modern community, and that is really a barrier for a lot of things, a lot of possibilities to implement nature-based solutions, because there might be, because it's you have to think more or less, not holistic perhaps, but at least for a larger scale, or larger sphere for introducing nature-based solutions. But in the modern world, we have this kind of silo approach that makes it difficult to communicate sufficiently with other areas of the society, especially with regarding the public area. I think so. Those three are the we have for the hinders or the anchors in that sense. And thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It's really a very insightful element. Would I be so now? What we would like to propose is to we'll see if there are more things to group. You've seen we use sort of a color scheme. I would propose to group together. If everybody agrees, I think there's a correlation between dominance of certain narratives, lack of trust, confidence, and lack of knowledge about the benefits of NBS. And yeah, so if we can, because the idea would be to bring these things together, and then we would invite you to vote. If I need to briefly change.
I think that the dominance of certain narratives links actually also to the silo thinking as well. Because of course, in certain silos, you have some defined narratives, and how to access those, I think, is also one of the challenges ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So maybe better to link this way. In any case, what we will do now is to, so we will share in the chat the link to the board you have seen. It's a mural board, and so you can see on the right-hand side you have stickers which you can drag and drop with your mouse through your laptop. And what we would kindly ask you to do is to have 3 stickers each and put them on the elements you find most important in terms of anchors. And we will account in turn also, of course, for scores of post-its that relate to each other. So I trust you have. So yeah, you have the mural link in the chat, and then so we are trusting you. Don't vote more than 3 times, and leave some dots for colleagues. Okay, if you're facing any difficulty in doing so, let me know. I will go back to the mural. Okay, excellent. It's taking place. That's always a pleasure.
I'm seeing some people putting stickers on winds. We're only doing the exercise on anchors right now. So yes.
Thank you, Mariam. It's the perks of it. Don't move the post-its too much, huh?
I was never good at games. I don't know how to do it.
So if you click on one of the red dots and keep it clicked, you can drag it with you.
I know, but I can't see the red dots at all.
Okay, if you want, you can tell us which ones you would like to vote for, and I can put them. Except if you don't want your vote to be known, of course.
You can indicate them to us in the chat, just sending a message to Frédéric or me personally, we can add them.
Okay, I trust everyone is nearly done. Ah, yeah, I see. Okay, so it looks like it did come now. So, okay, what does this tell us? Okay, so we have 5 votes on the lack of knowledge about benefits of NBS, and we have 4 votes on both the siloed approach and the systemic evaluation indicators missing. And the silos, there's also a vote around dominance of certain narratives. Okay, and then we have a vote around lack of space, lack of funding opportunities, and 2 votes on lack of trust, confidence. Okay, excellent. All right, so we have just a few minutes left. So the idea here would be to wrap up. So we'll be presenting these key elements in the plenary in a few minutes, but most importantly, yeah, I think the key points from today was to hear your views on the preliminary elements, and we've taken good note of the points that were raised in the first session. We will be also, as I mentioned, using both, of course, your prioritized elements, but also looking at the more detailed elements from the Excel sheets. And what we are going to highlight the outcomes of this session in a workshop with a strategic workshop, sorry, with EU policymakers, research and innovation programmers, and experts. We are planning in November, and so the idea behind this workshop is to take stock of the different elements we've gathered so far, including this session, and to see from there on how we move to contours and the shared structure for first draft roadmap. This first draft roadmap, it will be shared with you in January 2022. It will be publicly available, and it will undergo consultations again to gain feedback, both through possibly electronic means and also specific discussions. And so, you know, we are also foreseeing in regular sessions around knowledge gap and the roadmap development in NetworkNature annual events. And the objective is to publish this final roadmap by 2023. Okay, I hope you will have enjoyed this session, and for us at least it was super useful to hear back from you, both on the ongoing work and other ideas to bring on the table. I'm personally super excited to be working on this and continue interacting with you along the months to come throughout the development of this roadmap. And we really want to see you to see this as not a one-shot interaction, but something we will be pursuing along the few months in which we'll be developing the roadmap. If you have any, we have 5 minutes left. So of course, if you have any comments, burning issues or remarks you would like to bring to our attention now, don't hesitate. It's still timely to do so. And otherwise, I would say you would benefit from a 20-minute break instead of 15 before going back into plenary. And I hope this is not a strong incentive enough to keep you from taking the floor if you have something to say. Okay. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for following the exercise and bearing with us. I know it can be challenging to engage in these things. So I think it went pretty smoothly, thanks to you. And I'm looking forward to interacting with you again on this topic, which I think is really incredibly interesting.
Thank you for organizing.
Thank you, Frederic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And so you are invited to reconnect at 15 past the hour in the plenary session.